Good day, everyone. Today we are going to present our agricultural products sale, analysis, and prediction. To start, I am Maria
Maria
Rachel
Rachel
Asiega
Asiega
Rigma.
Rigma. I'm Mariela Anbiara Goncillo.
I'm Don Dominic Limpin.
To start, in line cell 1, import NumPy as NP. Um, this imports the NumPy library and kadalasan siyang ginagamit for numerical operations and handling arrays. And then yung import Panda as PD, nag-i-import siya ng Panda library and ginagamit siya for data manipulation and analysis. And then yung import OS naman, this imports the OS module for interacting with operating system. And then yung os.walk, open and close parenthesis, Kaggle input, ano, nagra-run through siya ulit doon sa directory, which is yung Kaggle input para hanapin yung all files. And then yung print os.path.join, ipiprint naman niya yung path to each file found in the directory. Next, we have the df is equal to pd.read_csv. Dito naman is this reads the CSV file located in the specified path into Pandas data frame which is called the df. And then yung df.head naman, is ipapakita dito or i-display dito yung first 10 rows of the data frame, which is ito po. And then, sa data exploration naman, yung df.shape, i-display nito or i-return nito yung number of rows and columns in the data frame. So, for this case, we have 8,893 rows and then we have 10 columns. And then dito naman sa line 5, which is df.columns, dito naman is i-display niya yung product name, product ID category, which is yung pangalan ng column. And then sa in 6, we have the info, df.info. Dito naman is i-display nila yung summary ng data frame, which is including na dito yung number of rows, yung column names, yung data types, and then yung number of non-null values in each column. And then dito naman sa line 7, we have df.isna.any. Dito naman is yung df.isna, i-check niya if yung each cell na yon is merong missing values or none. And then, i-return niya yung true if merong missing na value. And then, false naman kapag hindi. And then, yung any naman, yung .any, i-check naman nito if merong at least one missing value in each column. And then, i-return nga niya yung true if there is any missing value doon sa column na yon, and then false if there is none. And then, dito naman sa in 8, df.isNull.sum. Yung df.isNull, i-check naman niya yung cell if yung data frame na yon is merong missing values. And then, i-return niya yung true kapag merong missing values. Kapag false, non-missing values. And then, yung purpose naman ng .sum, i-add niya yung kung ilan yung missing values. And then yung for this case naman, since wala nga siyang missing values, ang dinisplay niya is 0. Dito naman sa in 9, df.duplicated.sum, yung yung df.duplicated.sum, ipapakita dito if merong duplicated rows doon sa data frame. For this case naman kasi meron siyang nakalagay na sum.sum in which bibilangin niya yung rows na merong duplicated. And if wala naman pong duplicated rows, it will display 0. Next, we have the df sale date is equal to df dot to date time. Dito naman, yung purpose kasi niya is panda function siya in which i-convert niya yung sale underscore date column na which is commonly and likely string format kasi siya, pero i-convert niya yon into proper date time format. Next is df is equal to df dot drop. Dito naman, yung ibig sabihin ng axis is equal to 1, meron siyang specific column na i-drop. Which is, ang ginawa niya nga is na i-drop niya yung product ID. Next naman is yung in 12, df.describe. Yung df.describe naman, this is a method na nagpro-provide ng summary of the numerical columns in the data frame and including dito yung statistics. So ano ba yon? This is the dot describe, yung count, yung mean, yung mga percent, max, and STD. Dito naman sa explanatory data analysis, we have the in 13. We have the in 13. Yung plot express, yung plotly.express, isa siyang library na nagke-create siya ng interactive graphs like line plots, yung bar chart, and scatter plots. Tapos yung plotly.graph underscore objects, ito yung mas detailed na way para magkaroon ka ng customized and complex plots with Plotly. And then yung matplotlib.pyplot, isa siyang library for creating static plots like yung bar chart nga, line plots, and histogram. And then yung Seaborn naman, isa siyang library that is built on top of matplotlib for creating or making more attractive and easier to read statistical plots. And yung Skippy Stats, isa siyang module na nagpro-provide ng statistical functions. Like for example, yung for calculating mean, yung standard deviation, and hypothesis test. And then yung train test split, i-split niyo yung data into training and testing sets para makabuo siya and makapag-evaluate ng isang model. And then yung label encoder naman, i-convert niya yung categorical label like yung red, blue, or into numerical labels which is 0, 1, etc. And then we have the standard scaler. Yung dito naman is meron siyang scales sa numeric data para magkaroon siya ng mean na 0 and magkaroon ng standard deviation na 1. And then yung ordinal encoder naman, i-convert niya yung ordinal categorical data into numeric values. And then we have the one-hot encoder, which is i-convert naman niya yung categorical variables into binary, which is yung 0 or 1 columns dun sa each category. And then yung column transformer naman, inaalaw siya dito para makapag-apply ng iba't ibang pre-processing steps para sa different columns sa dataset. And then yung pipeline naman, chain together pre-processing steps and machine learning models para para madali mong ma-manipulate yung data. And then we have the linear regression. Ano siya, machine learning siya, machine learning model siya para ma-predict niyo yung numerical values based doon sa linear relationship. And then yung random forest regressor naman, ano din siya, isang machine learning model na ginagamit sa multiple decision trees para ma-predict nila yung numeric values. And then we have the gradient boosting regression, another machine learning model para makapag-build ng predictions by combining weaker one. To proceed with line in 14, we have the DF product name and product underscore name dot unique. So dito naman, yung dot unique kasi i-return niya yung mga or i-display niya yung array na merong unique values doon sa product name column. So ito yon yung mga product name na merong unique values. And then sa line 15 naman, we have the proportion of products. Dito naman yung figure is equal to px.py. Yung px.py kasi yung purpose niya is to create a pie chart. So we have the product name, yung values count which is kung ilang product meron doon sa specific product na yon. And then dito din makikita yung bilang or proportion nung isang product. Okay.
In 16, yung purpose ng px.bar is to create a bar chart using Plotly Express. Yung df bracket product name that value counts, ika-count niya yung occurrences of each product ng product name na column. Then yung x is equals to df product name that value counts that index that values. Siya yung x-axis yung x-axis na nagre-represent ng product names. Then y-axis naman ire-represent niya yung count of each product. Then in 17, yung df.group by sale date and price per kilogram dot sum, i-group niya yung sale date and ikakalculate siya sa price per kilogram for each date. Then yung reset underscore index, ginagamit siya para i-reset yung index of each group na naka-data frame para makagawa ng sale date na column. Then yung price naman, ginagamit siya para i-store yung result into a new data frame. In 18, yung purpose ng px.line is to create a line plot. Then yung x is equals to sale date and y is equals to price per kilogram. Nire-represent nila yung sale dates and price per kilogram as x-axis and y-axis. Then, in 19, similar siya sa previous cell, but instead na price ang nakalagay, it groups by sale date and ikakalculate siya sa units sold kilogram para mapakita din yung total units sold on each date. In 20, yung purpose ng px.line, purpose niya is to create a line plot, then x-axis is sale date, then y-axis is units sold kilogram. In 21, px.histogram, yung purpose niya is to create a histogram, then x-axis is price per kilogram. Nire-represent niya yung x-axis na yan para mapakita yung distribution of price per kilogram. In 22, yung purpose ng np.mean, ikakalculate niya yung mean or average nung price per kilogram. Same sa np.median and stats.skew. Then sa stats.skew naman, ika-calculate niya yung skewness of price per kilogram. Then, kung paano i-measure yung asymmetric na distribution. Then, yung results dapat ng mean, median, and skewness is printed. In 23, yung purpose ng px.box is to create a box plot to visualize the distribution and potential outliers. Yung y-axis is price per kilogram. I-represent niya din yung distribution ng price per kilogram. In 24, same siya sa previous na cell na magka-create din ng histogram para makita naman yung unit sold kilogram kung paano yung distribution ng quantities na na-sold. In 25, similar siya dun sa in 22 na cell. Then, ikakalculate niya lang yung mean, median, and skewness. Tsaka ipiprint niya rin dun yung unit sold kilogram naman. In 26, magka-create din dito ng px.box para sa box plot naman ng unit sold to detect din yung mga potential na outliers. In 27, in 27, yung purpose ng df.core or correlation, ikakalculate niya yung correlation matrix for all numeric columns in the data frame para maintindihan kung ano yung relationship ng mga variables. In 28, yung purpose ng px.imshow is to create a heat map to visualize the correlation matrix. In 29, px.scatter. Yung purpose niya is to create a scatter plot para ma-visualize yung relationship ng unit sold kilogram and price per kilogram. Next is in 30. Similar siya sa in 29, but this scatter plot shows relationship naman between units on hand kilogram and units sold kilogram.
So, dito pa tayo sa next, in 31. So, ito sa code na to, katulad nung kay Mariel din, nag-create din siya ng scatter plot using yung in-import kanina na Plotly Express. Dito naman, ginagamit, ito yung para ma-analyze yung relationship between unit ship and price per kilogram for various products. It uses facets to organize the data by product categories. So in creating the scatter plot, yung DF, ayun yung data frame, yung nagka-contain ng data. Then dito naman specify yung X and Y axis. Yung X for unit ship per kilogram, and yung Y axis naman is price per kilogram. Then yung facet call naman, itong facet underscore call na to, ito yung nag-split ng data into separate subplots. Ayun, tatawag na natin na facets for each product name. Equals product name. Then next is yung facet underscore call underscore wrap equals 4. Ini-ensure niya na may maximum na 4 facets for row. Then yung spacing niya is 0.4. It reduces vertical spacing between facet rows. Then yung title, and may sign siya na bold para yung title maging bold. Tapos yung emoji na yun, yung dollar sign, para mas more engaging yung plot. Sa customizing annotations naman tayo, Yung yung code na yan, sumunod, nire-remove niyo yung facet call prefix from the facet labels, leaving only the product name. Makes the facet titles mas malinis tsaka madali intindihin. Sa styling naman ng annotations, yung figure that update annotations, may font color. So, ginawa nating medium sea green yung color nung nung font, yung color ng font sa annotation para ma-improve natin yung contrast tsaka yung aesthetics ba. Then sa customizing markers, yung marker color, ginawa natin violet. Excuse me din. Yung marker lines, ginawa nating, yung width, ginawa nating 0.4. Then, para, ginawa nating 0.4, yung outline ng markers para better visibility. And sa customizing naman ng layout, ayan, sa figure update underscore layout, yung height ginawa nating 1,000 para ma-adjust yung overall plot height na natin para better yung presentation. Sa title, yung font color ginawa nating purple, and yung X and Y axis, yung X ginawa natin 0.5, tapos yung Y axis naman ginawa natin 0.9 para ma-center yung title natin sa taas ng plot. Then meron tayong X anchor and Y anchor. Yan. Ang ginagawa naman yan, ina-align niya naman yung title correctly. Tapos ginamit natin yung burly wood para sa ating font color. Para meron tayong font color siya sa ibang mga textual elements para ma-ensure natin yung cohesive color scheme. Ayan, makita natin. Pagka figure show, ayan, na-render na yung plot for visualization. Ayan, nakita natin. So, next natin, ayan, sa in32 naman, itong code naman na yan, bini-visualize niya naman yung relationship between suppliers naman. Between suppliers and the units sold for different product categories naman. The goal is to provide insights in which the supplier sells more units and how these units are distributed across product categories. And in creating the bar chart, and yung DF natin, ibig sabihin, in data frame, katulad sinabi ko kanina, ito yung nagko-contain ng data. And ginawa natin yung X and Y uli, and yung X-axis natin is supplier, and yung Y naman is units sold in kilograms. Then, color equals category. Yan naman yung nag-distinguish by color para madali nating makumpara yung mga categories natin within across the suppliers. Then, title, ayan yung nag-add siya ng clear and descriptive title sa ating chart. Then sa customizing the layout naman, figure that update underscore layout, yung font color natin, ginawa natin siyang medium spring green para mag-stand out siya na meron siya vibrant na green color. Then yung X and Y uli, yung 0.5 tsaka 0.9 para ma-center uli natin yung title horizontally naman sa taas. Then, X anchor center and Y anchor sa top. In-ensure nyo man ito yung title, precise. Tapos yung for other textual elements natin sa chart, ganun ulit. Burly wood ulit ginamit natin para consistent yung design. Then, figure show, ayan, na-render na yung bar chart. Next. So may train test split sa int33 at int34. Yung purpose naman nito is para ma-split niya yung datasets sa training at testing sets. Essential siya for building a predictive model. This ensures that the model is trained on one part of the data and tested on another to evaluate its performance. So, yung X natin, ayan, drop. I-drop niya yung column na units sold. Yan yung target natin variable sa data frame. It includes all independent variables used to predict the units sold per kilogram. Sa Y naman, ina-isolate niya naman yung target variable natin, which is yung units sold per kilogram, para which represents the number of units sold. So, dun sa int34 naman natin, diyan naman natin i-split yung dataset. Ayan. Yung function niya is yung train_test.split. Ini-split niya yung data into training and testing sets. Which is yung goal natin. So, the parameters is test size equals 0.2. Nire-reserve niya yung 20% of the data for testing, ensuring the model has sufficient data for evaluation. Then, random state naman equals 40 sets a fixed seed to make the split reproducible. Para sa reproduction. This ensures that the same split occurs every time the code is run. So, sa output, X train and Y train, training data used to train the model, tas X test and Y test naman, testing data used to evaluate the model's performance. So, bakit nga ba 20% yung ginamit natin na test size? Kasi ito yung common choice na ginagamit para mabalance between having enough data for both training and testing. By splitting the data, we ensure that our model is robust and can generalize to new unseen data. This step is foundational for building reliable machine learning systems. Next natin, sa data processing, int35. The goal is to distinguish between categorical naman tsaka numerical columns sa dataset natin. Kailangan talaga gawin tong separation na to para sa processing. Kasi itong dalawang data na to, magkaiba ng hinahandle to, kumbaga yung handling method niya. Yung categorical data minsan pang encoding, then yung numerical data naman para sa scaling naman siya. So, sa umpisa, i-identify natin yung categorical columns. Yung logic niya, ina-iterates niya through all columns in Xtrain and checks if the data type is object. Yan sa unang line of code. Yung result niya naman, gagawa siya ng list for categorical column containing the names of all it. Then next naman sa ganun din, for numerical columns naman siya. Chine-check naman if yung data type is integer or float. So, ganun din, mag-create din siya ng list na may numerical columns. So, ayan, piprint natin yung result sa int36. Ayan, kung makita nyo, na-print na siya. Categorical columns, yung product name, category, supplier, tsaka farm location. Sa numerical columns naman, price per kilogram, unit shipped per kilogram, units on hand per kilogram. So, tuloy na tayo sa int37. Sa int37 naman, ang purpose naman ito, dinedefine niya yung separate transformation pipelines for categorical and numerical data, yung ginawa natin sa 36. Tapos, co-combine ito sa unified processing step. This ensures that all data is appropriately transformed before being fed into the machine learning model. Yan. Sa yung pipeline, ito yung nag-chain nung sequence of transformation steps for categorical data. Yan. Kita nyo? Ayan. Categorical underscore transformer pipeline. Yung ordinal encoder naman, ito yung nag-encode ng categorical values as integers. Ayan. Na-handle yung unseen categories in test data by assigning them a default value. Yung code na unknown underscore value equals -1, in-specify niya na -1 yung value para dun sa mga unseen categories sa datasets. Then, yan. Sa defining naman, yun sa sumunod sa numerical naman, ganun din. Tapos, sa standard scaler naman siya. Dito naman, i-scale niya kasi nga dahil ano siya numerical Scaling na siya. Features to have mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. Yan. So, sumunod sa pre-processor naman, dito, kinocombine natin yung dalawang transformation na yun by column transformer. Yung column transformer, ina-apply niya yung specific transformations to different columns. And ginamit natin yung cut para dun sa categorical columns. Tapos yung num naman, sa numerical naman siya. Yeah. It combines both transformation into a single unified processing pipeline. And using this pipeline and column transformer not only simplifies the processing steps, but also ensures that the transformation are robust, scalable, and consistent across training and testing datasets. Next. Ayan.
So, dito naman sa in38, we have the linear regression. Yung linear regression, nag-create siya ng model that can predict numbers katulad ng prices or scales based doon sa other picture. And then yung linear naman, this is the name given doon sa model para magamit siya for prediction. So this linear regression is showcase how machine learning pipeline is built to combine data processing and model training into a single seamless process. So sinisimplify din dito yung workflow by automating feature transformations, encoding, and yung scaling. Um, Fitting a linear regression model, ensuring na meron siyang consistency and efficiency. Yung approach na to is modular and easy to modify, and ginagaranti nito na yung all step na yan is applied correctly during both training and prediction.
So, dito naman sa in39, yung purpose naman ito, yung purpose ng code nito, pinipredict niya yung target variable natin, yung unit sold, for the test dataset. And kinakalculate niya yung key evaluation metrics para ma-assess yung model's accuracy tsaka yung error. And breaking down the code, sa making predictions, yung unang line, linear underscore pipeline that predict, pre-processes the test features, yung X-test, using the transformation as in training, yung encoding tsaka yung scaling. Uses the trained linear regression model to generate prediction. Yun yung linear pred. Tapos sa calculating metrics naman, yung R2 score, yan. Ibig sabihin, coefficient of determination. It measures how well the model explains the variability in the target variable. Yung value range, 1 and 0, ayun. Yung 1 perfect fit, yung 0, model performs no better than predicting the mean. Yung negative naman, model perform worse than the mean. Yan. Bakit nga ba R2? Yung R2 kasi nagpo-provide siya ng direct measure of the model's predictive power. Ayan. Then, yung RMSE, saan ba yan? Ayan, yung linear RMSE. It measures the average error magnitude between predictions. And lower values indicate better performance. Ayan. Tapos kapag print, and makikita naman yung output. R2 score is 1.0. Then root mean squared error is 1.2, 1.27 pag ni-round off. Ayan. Next.
And then sa random forest regression naman, yung random forest regressor is nagre-create siya ng random forest model na merong 200 trees para makapag-create ka ng prediction. And then yung forest pipeline is equal to pipeline, dito kino-combine niya yung mga data preparations or yung processing and the random forest model into one process. And then yung forest underscore pipeline dot fit, dito naman is tinatrain niya yung model na yon on the training data, features x underscore train and target y underscore train. So in a much simpler terms, it sets up everything needed to teach the random forest model kung paano makakapag-predict ng values na galing sa data.
Ayan. Sa in41 naman tayo. Ito na ginawa kanina, sa scores din siya. The purpose naman ito is to generate predictions using random forest model and evaluates its performance by calculating key metrics sa R2. Ibig sabihin, coefficient of determination, katulad kanina. And root mean squared error, yung RMSE. In breaking the code, in making predictions, ginamit natin yung trained forest pipeline, which includes both processing and random forest model para ma-generate yung predictions for the test data, yung X-test, yung ginamit natin kanina. Yung X-test, it was processed using the same transformation as the training data, ensuring consistent processing. So result, forest underscore pred contains the predicted values for units sold per kilogram based on the features in the test set. Yan. In evaluating model performance naman, yung R2 score, yung sumunod na code, measures the proportion of the variance sa target variable natin, which is yung units sold per kilogram. This sa model, in-explain siya. Then, ganun ulit, yung value interpretation is 1 perfect prediction. Yung 0, model explains no variability. Pinipredict niya lang yung mean. Sabihin. Tapos pag negative values naman, it's worse than predicting the mean. Yan. Sa yung sumunod na code, yung RMSE, forest underscore RMSE, yung RMSE, it measures the average magnitude of errors between predicted yung forest underscore pred and actual values sa y-test. Lower RMSE values indicate better model performance. Yan. Sa printing the result naman, the code prints the R2 and RMSE values, giving an assessment of how well the random forest model performed on that test dataset. And yung print niya, R2 score is 0.999. Yan, tuloy. Then, root mean squared error is 247.83. And next, sa input 42 naman,
Sa input input 42 naman, yung gradient boosting regression. Yung gradient is equal to gradient boosting regression. Nagka-create siya ng isang model using gradient boosting with 500 trees and a learning rate of 0.2. And then yung gradient underscore pipeline is equal to pipeline. Dito, kino-combine niya yung data preparation or yung processing and the gradient boosting model into one process na parang katulad lang din nung in 40 kanina about random forest regression. Pero dito naman, siya, yung processing and yung gradient boosting model. And then yung gradient underscore pipeline dot fit, dito tinatrain niya yung model using the training data. So in simple way, yung dito prepare niya yung data and tinatrain niya din yung gradient boosting model para magkaroon ng prediction based doon sa training data.
So next, sa prediction ulit tayo. Sa input 43, this code evaluates the performance of the gradient boosting regressor model using the test dataset. The performance is assessed using R2 and RMSE. Yung purpose naman itong code na to, gine-generate niya naman yung prediction using yung trained gradient boosting regressor model. And in-evaluate niya yung performance on the test data using R2 tsaka RMSE metrics. So, in making predictions, yung gradient pipeline that predict yung trained gradient boosting regressor model, nasa loob siya ng pipeline kanina, ginagamit siya to predict the target variable, which is yung unit sold per kilogram. Para sa test dataset natin, yung X test sa loob na parenthesis. This prediction process involves applying the same processing steps such as scaling and encoding to test the data before passing it to the model. Yan. Sa evaluating model performance, yung R2, it measures the proportion of the variance in the target variable that is explained by the model. Yung R2 value range from 0 to 1, where 1 means the model perfectly predicts, katulad kanina, 0 means model doesn't explain any variance better than the mean, and then yung negative R2 naman, the model is performing worse than simply predicting the mean on the target variable. Sa RMSE, katulad din kanina, measures the average magnitude of errors between the predicted and actual values. Yung predicted is yung gradient underscore pred and yung values naman is yung y-test. The lower the RMSE, the better the model is at making predictions, as it indicates smaller average errors in the predictions. So, sa printing result, ayan ang lumabas. R2 score is 0.99. Then yung root mean squared error is 371.86. Next na natin, sa model comparison naman. Yan. Ang purpose naman ito is kino-compare niya yung performance ng tatlong tree regression models based dun sa R2 and RMSE scores, yung mga print natin kanina. By organizing the result in a data frame. And nakita nyo sa may out 44, ayan yun. You can easily compare the models and identify which performs the best on the test datasets. Ayan. Pag binreakdown natin yung code, yung unang line of code, yung comparison equals pd.dataframe, gumagawa siya ng empty data frame para ma-store yung pagka-compare natin ng result. Tapos pag mag-a-adding naman tayo ng model types, yung sumunod naman na code. Ayan, nag-add siya ng column called type. Ayun, yung red na type that lists the names of the 3 regression models. Yung linear, random forest, tsaka yung gradient boosting. Tapos, ayun naman, pag adding the R2 scores, yung sumunod na code, comparison R2 scores, nag-add naman siya ng column na tawag R2 score. Ni-store naman ito yung R2 scores from each of the model. Yung linear R2, forest R2, and gradient R2. It was pulled from the previous calculation for each model, yung ginawa natin kanina. Then, sumunod, yung comparison naman ng RMSE scores naman. Ayan, gumawa tayo ng column. Tawag is root mean squared error. Ito naman nag-store ng RMSE values for each model na ginawa natin kanina. Then, RMSE values, ayun, yung linear, forest, tsaka gradient. Then, final output is comparison. Ayan. So, lumabas yung comparison. Ayan, sa out44. Ayan. Ayan yung R2 scores. Tsaka yung root mean squared error. Makita natin na una yung 0, yung linear regression. Sumunod. Mataas yung R2 score nung linear regression. Then, pamaba dun sa gradient boosting. Then, in figure 45 naman, lastly, itong code na to, visualize niya yung R2 scores and root mean squared errors or RMSE for the 3 regression models by presenting the metrics in separate subplots para madalim sila i-compare. Ma-compare yung performance tsaka yung metrics. In breaking down the code, ayan, yung figure make subplots. Gumagawa siya ng figure with 2 subplots in a row. Row 1, tapos calls 1, and yung, ibig sabihin, the layout will have 1 row, tapos 2 columns, ibig sabihin. Yung horizontal spacing equals 0.2, ito yung code para magkaroon ng space between the 2 subplots. Then subplot underscore titles, and yung titles for each subplot. Ayun yung pinrovide natin na R2 score tsaka RMSE. Ayan, sa loob ng parenthesis. Then, sumunod na code, it's adding the bar plot for R2 scores. Go.bar, ito naman, kinecreate niya yung bar plot for R2 scores. Then, sumunod is yung X equals comparison type. The X-axis represent the model types. Yung linear regression, random forest regressor, gradient boosting regressor. Then sa Y comparison naman, R2 score, yung Y-axis represents the R2 scores, ibig sabihin. Sa text comparison, text equals comparison, plus R2 score. Ito naman yung parang ito yung nag-display ng text labels on the bars. Tapos row equals 1, column equals 1. Yung bar plot natin, pinlace siya sa first subplot sa may left side. Then next, adding the bar naman for RMSE, katulad nung sa previous plot, ginagawa naman ito, bar plot naman siya for RMSE. So, ito naman, i-display niya naman to sa right side. Yan, sa code na yan. And next, formatting the bars. Ayan, yung figure update traces. Text template equals, ayan yung text.3f, yan yun. Kulay red. Ito naman yung nagpo-format ng text labels sa bars para i-show niya lang yung 3 decimal places. Then, yung sumunod, yung marker line colors, salmon. sinet natin yung bar borders sa salmon. Tapos marker colors, inassign natin yung colors sa bars na mint cream, tapos corn silk, tapos linen. Tapos sumunod, marker lines naman, gumawa naman tayo ng lines para sa width. Then sumunod natin, yung sa updating naman, sa title, sinet natin model comparison. Tapos yung color is Rebecca purple. Rebecca purple. Then sa font color is Orchid. Ginamit natin para sa labels and titles. Sa show legend, false. Disable niya yung legend. Then sa x-axis, ginamit natin yung title tsaka models. Yung models ay yung label. Then sa x-axis of both subplots. Sa y-axis naman, ganun din. Yung label, nilabel natin siya as R2 score. Then, yung sa may code na y-axis 2 equals title, RMSE, type, tsaka log. Nilabel natin yung nilabel natin yung y-axis of the second subplot as RMSE. Tapos, sinet natin sa logarithmic scale. This helps visualize models with larger values in more compressed range, improving the clarity of the comparison. Sa final output, the code generates a side-by-side bar chart with one plot showing R2 scores and the other showing RMSE values. Yan. So, pag finigure show na natin, sa figure nga, yan. Isang plot for R2 score, isang plot for RMSE. This plot provides a visual comparison of the three regression models based on R2 and RMSE. You can quickly see which model has the best performance in terms of explaining the variance and minimizing prediction error. The gradient boosting regressor is expected to outperform the other models based on its higher R2 and lower RMSE. Yan.
And that is the end of our presentation, Agricultural Product Sale Analysis and Prediction. Thank you.